Hi, and welcome back to On the Way video series. I'm Tara. This is my friend Bridget. Bridget, have you seen On the Way series yet?
Yes, I actually watched it for the first time while my kids were napping yesterday. And I found it very encouraging. It really did help me to get through the rest of my day.
Good, and that's exactly what it's about. We want to meet you, the busy women of today, working moms, grandmas, with relevant, encouraging biblical insights, addressing real issues, and offering real hope.
Yeah, so wherever you are, whether you're on your way home from school or work, or waiting to pick up the kids, or curled up in bed after a long, hard day, be encouraged on the way.
Hi, I'm Joyce from Global Girls for God Ministries. Welcome back to On the Way. We're looking at margin in the midst of mayhem. Last week we looked at why it was so important, and today we're going to look at how do we do that? How do we put margin into the midst of our busy schedule? We are busy women with lots of things to do, and now with the holidays approaching, we're adding a lot more things into our schedule. And so when I looked at my own life, over time I've learned to make intentional choices to put margin into my schedule. We look at our schedule and our calendar, and there are so many hours in a day. We look at all the invites coming in and all the responsibilities that this time of the year has for us, and it's fun stuff. But we can't do it all, so we make intentional choices to look at our calendar and take that space, because we know in that space of time, of stepping back, of having breathing room, we will grow stronger as women, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. But it's really hard. Our culture tells us that we should be busy, that being busy is productive, and that we need to be productive. And that's very true. I think we also, as women, put a lot of responsibilities on ourselves, expectations. When I was doing this study with some girlfriends of mine called Breathe by Priscilla Schreier, she brought up the interesting concept of the seventh day. And we say that in the Bible it tells us that God created 6 days and he rested on the seventh day. She brings to us this quote from a rabbi about the seventh day. And it says this, Menuha, and I don't think I'm saying that right, which we usually render with rest, so it means rest. Means much more than withdrawal from labor and exertion, more than freedom from toil, strain, or activity of any kind. Rest, menuha, is not a negative concept, but something real and intrinsically positive. It took a special act of creation to bring it into being, that the universe would be incomplete without it. What was created on the seventh day? Tranquility, serenity, peace, and repose. It's beautiful, isn't it? I never thought of when God rested on the seventh day that he was creating something. But that's what I've learned margin does do for me. It does create a sense of tranquility. It refreshes me physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And so to make an intentional choice to put it into our schedules, it will be challenging. It will be sometimes countercultural. It might even go sometimes against our own grain. But it will be a time where you are refreshed. You will experience peace. There's also another how do you do it? And that how to do it is, it's individualized. It's going to be different for me and different for you. Like I said before, I'm a grandma, I'm a nurse, I have a ministry. I have some physical limitations, and I need to incorporate margin into my life. So for me, looking at my schedule and all the things I want to do, I will intentionally choose mornings where I will stay at home. It will be my time to set aside time to think, to pray, to make a list of the things I need to do. But for you, the busy woman who's raising children or working outside the home, it's going to look different. You have a lot of different responsibilities than I have. And so for you, when it comes to looking at your schedule and everything you need to do, it's going to be individualized toward what your life is about. And that is important for you to know and realize. It's not going to look like mine or someone else's. It's individualized. It's a intentional choice, and it's individualized toward your life and what God is calling you to do now. But I want to also tell you that it's a learning process. I found that for myself, that at first it was really hard to do, but I've learned that it is so important that I do grow in that time. I get physically refreshed, and you're going to learn that too. You're going to learn that as you do it, you're going to be a different woman. But it's a learning process, and it's not always going to work. It's kind of going to have an ebb and flow to it. But when you are able to do it, even if it's for a small amount of time, I want you to look back at the time and say, how did I grow in that time? What did I learn from that? If you want, have a friend of yours hold you accountable. Tell them that you're doing it and ask them to say, hey, how'd that margin go? What are you learning in that time? Learn from it, be flexible with it, and don't be hard on yourself if it doesn't work all the time. Just know that when you start making an intentional choice to put it in there, God will meet you right where you are, and He will give you all that you need for strength and refreshment. He will allow you to go back into your busy life, making wiser choices, looking at things differently. Last week I told you about Elijah and how he was emotionally, physically, and spiritually at the end of his rope, and he went into that mountainside, and God met him there in that quiet voice. God said to him, Elijah, what are you doing here? And Elijah poured out his heart to God. God met him right there with that interaction of words. He then gave Elijah something that he needed. He needed encouragement, and he told him that there are 7,000 other people still serving me. You're not alone in this journey. He gave him Elisha, a kind of a partner, a friend to help him along. God met Elijah where he was when God asked him, what are you doing here? And Elijah just let it out. That's what margin allows us to do, and God meets us there to give us strength for the journey ahead of us. When I have a little bit of time, only a small sliver of time, and I know I need something to refresh my soul and my physical being, I read Psalm 62, and it says this, find rest, O my soul, in God alone. My hope comes from Him. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will not be shaken. My salvation and my honor depend on God. He is my mighty rock, my refuge. Trust in Him at all times, O people. Pour out your hearts to Him, for God is our refuge. That's an encouragement that I take with me the rest of the day. So on your way today, be encouraged to know that God is with you, that He is your refuge and your strength. Hope you can join us next week when we meet a special friend of mine. Her name is Chris, and we talk about how she has worked to find the ability to give thanks in the midst of in the midst of pain. So I hope you join us. See you next week. Be blessed.